Mariana's work is so much more than decorative. It is at once beautiful and demanding, as our difficult political times demand, in terms of a crisis in justice, in climate, in oceans, in species, in our humanity. Mariana's work is driven by what she describes as the driving necessity of making sense of both the natural and the social worlds, and I would add also the political and the personal worlds. Her work was rooted early in her experience of migration from the banks of the River Sava and the subtle light of Europe to the bright glare of Australia and the experience of multiple cultures and multiple ways of seeing. That sense of different places of diverse countries and cultures has continued throughout the decades of her practice. She talks of occupying a zone that lies between Europe and Australia, the East and the West, and between masculine and feminine. As one of the essays in this beautiful book puts it, Mariana's work engages with a space, makes it meaningful, constructs and changes meanings, and creates sculpture and texts that ask people to look at things differently. So we have here tonight a triple whammy. We have before us examples of the many waves of Mariana's art over 30 years, an exhibition of her past work which amounts to a very rich historical survey. The cut tiles layered within layers in many different kinds of forms in Mariana's work, the rusty iron eucalypt poles with the cut-out leaves of light, the woven panels of rusty straps, some painted red, stretching out, telling stories, cast bronze, sky-pointing sentinels of metal bark, coloured red on the inside, beautiful stone sculptures that are sediment and delightful to look at and to touch, inlaid with blue glass, thin long straps of silver that map out journeys and events, the flights of birds made out in clouds of acupuncture needles, the rusty welded chains that hold down the body of a woman or construct an empty cradle. Such a large body of work, using such a wide range of skills and tools and methods, all reflecting her interest in light, shape, textures and how things fit together. And secondly, beyond all of that, we have her beautiful new works of bioluminescence, which was so striking for anyone who walked in here in the dark. It was just a beautiful window to walk towards, and such exquisite pieces of work. We see in these latest works of laser-cut plexiglass her continuing astute observation of the natural world and its illumination and beauty made out through glass and light. In the week of the 4th global bleaching event, which has now affected 75% of the Great Barrier Reef and every significant reef around the planet, this beauty is timely to observe, to remind us, to encourage us to stand up for a future for our planet and for its natural bioluminescence, which we hope will not only be reflected in the artworks, but in the remaining nature of our planet for the generations to come. Beyond this beautiful new work, we have an incredible book, a beautiful book of Mariana's public works, Art Made Public. It is an exquisite book, beautifully illustrated with lovely essays about Mariana's work. And it describes 20 very significant public works. Mariana's public work, as this book notes, is a signpost to who we are at this present moment, where we've come from, and the future that we wish to create together. There are 30-year themes through this body of work, the layers of history, nature, time, that are repetitive themes in Mariana's work, and of conflict and of change. The layers that indicate the way in which we live our lives over decades, the beauty of nature and the threats to it, the experiences of movement around the world by people and creatures, the experiences of women. I really loved reading about Mariana's early work in this book, The 15 Doors of Transitions, when she was still a student, representing all the instability of moving country and moving so many times in terms of a home. Mariana has courageously and at times relentlessly reflected on and examined her own experiences of migration, motherhood, womanhood, place and nature. And she's expanded and kept learning all the way along, the early worlding, all the cement and stone, the magic with light and water, all the engineering feats of working with the materials that she shaped and which she has allowed to shape what she has made. All the challenges of making big art that has to stand the test of weather and time. Some say that Marijana holds up a mirror to the world, and indeed in my own social media invitations to this event tonight I used that phrase, holding up a mirror to the world, but I don't think it's really right. I think Marijana changes the way we see the world, and I think she changes the places where her public art appears in particular. Her artworks have created ceremonial places for communities, at Merino with the two boats work, at the city of Salisbury for dances and for ceremonies, at Victor Harbour with the huge phosphorescence work which I recently saw last week. Indeed, when you think about it, Marijana's work is found and changes the entrances to our city from every direction. From the east at Glen Osmond, a monumental work. From the south at Victor, Hallett Cove and Merino. From the northwest at the Port and Birkenhead. And from the north at Mawson Lakes and the city of Salisbury. That is a pretty amazing contribution to our city. She has all the entranceways covered. In all of these works, Marijana has worked with First Nations people. She has, from the very earliest of her work, sought out, listened, learned, collaborated with and celebrated the lives, the skill and the culture of First Nations people. This is a true contribution and the recognition paid by one artist to a community of cultural custodians who are respected, seen and worked with as peers. Marijana talks of the generosity she has met in First Nations communities, a generosity she has returned in respectful artistic relationships. Anyone who knows Marijana knows she makes beauty everywhere. In her art, certainly. Also in her home, her hospitality, in making food, in her gardens and in her friendships. Marijana, we celebrate your work here tonight. We celebrate the monumental work that you make and in changing our view of our community. We recognise all you have done in your beautiful pieces, old and new, large and small, and in the public contributions at all the entrance points, places and directions, north, south, east and west of our city. Thank you for all of it and congratulations on your beautiful, glowing new work and this very beautiful book.